BMAdawg here, and welcome to the inaugural Boston edition of IE Sports Radio, your adventure in all that is sports. We're going to start things off with some Patriots action. Mayo is out, Vrabel is in, a big free agency coming up. Then we'll shift to the other sibling at one Patriot place, New England Revolution, as they start this season this past Saturday. Then we're going to go down to sunny Florida for some Red Sox spring training coverage. At the Red Sox spring training coverage, you got a bunch of big free agents. You got also a bunch of players getting their reps in. Then we're going to go to One Causeway Street where we have the Boston Bruins coming off a Four Nations face-off in what was a great break, a great thing for hockey. But defensive injuries are leading to these horrible overtime losses. And then we'll end the show with the reigning, defending 2024 champion, Boston Celtics, baby. We're going to go over that dominating every Atlantic team since the All-Star break. And we got a big schedule coming up with the Cavs and Nuggets. Welcome to my new show, and thank you for tuning in. Let's get started, shall we? Woo! Welcome, everybody, to the debut of my IE Sports Radio show, the Beantown Sports Pound. I am your host, BMAdawg, and this week, we got a lot to talk about in Boston. I know it's my first show. You're going to get the authentic Boston accent right here every single week. We're going to go over today the Patriots free agency. Mike Vrabel, new head coach, had a press conference yesterday to replace Gerard Mayo. And then we're going to talk about the Revolution opener in their 30th career year ever in the history. And then we're going to go down to sunny Florida and talk about the Red Sox finally made some big free agency signings, and they're down Alex Cora gang in JetBlue Park getting ready for the upcoming season. And then we're going to take a break in between. And then we're going to go to the teams in Causeway Street, starting with the Boston Bruins. We'll recap a little of Four Nations face-off in the NHL, which was so great for hockey. Blew every All-Star game and all four major sports combined together. We also are going to talk about how some of the injuries, one of the players that got injured at the Four Nations face-off and another defenseman, and it's really impacting the Bruins very badly, and we got a big trade deadline coming up. And then we're going to close off the show with two things. The Boston Celtics, which are your reigning defending world champions, as they're cruising by Atlantic rivals. But we got big tests coming up this weekend. And then I'm going to have my inaugural Player of the Week in Boston sports to close out the show. As we will start off with some Patriots coverage right after these messages from our lovely sponsor.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, folks. We would like to thank all of our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Vital Apparel, and Seal the Wheel Wax Seals, and IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. But we also got one more sponsor before we get started for today. We got our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements on Get Raw Nutrition. We even have a special promo code. Use promo code IESR for 10% off. You can't beat that, folks. Any protein powders, vitamins, and more. And before we get started, I want to thank you to Taryn Rodriguez, who is the host of not only our volleyball show on IE Sports Radio, our SoCal show, where he goes over the Southern California, LA area teams. And I'd like to give a shout out to Alden. He hosts our incredible baseball show with two other people, and he hosts an Arizona sports show too, going through all the Sun Belt teams in the desert. And I'd like to thank you, Ralph. We both have black and gold teams in common, and stick around, Ralph, because one of my segments involves one of your black and gold teams. Thank you very much. And now we're going to get things started with the New England Patriots. But before we get started, I want to give out my social medias too. Here's my professional one at Beantown-IESR. The Beantown Sports Pound is on X, as well as my personal one where I look at all Boston sports, wrestling, trendy memes, and more at BMAdawg617. And I will have a supporters club coming soon. I'm just going to wait a few episodes before we launch things. And I'm going to launch a personal blog and get some Facebook and Instagram influencer spaces. And you're not going to notice throughout this whole show that I don't pronounce my I's, because I am a Bostonian. We have the greatest accent in the world, and I'm proud of it. We're going to laugh. We're going to have some fun all year long at IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Now we're going to talk about the New England Patriots. Unfortunately, long gone are the heydays of Tom Brady. Bill Belichick parted ways in 2023 season. Tom Brady not only won 6 Super Bowls for us, which I'm forever grateful for, but Bill Belichick parted ways with Bob Kraft 2 years ago at the end of the 2023 season. Bob Kraft wanted to groom former Patriot linebacker and one-time Super Bowl winner with them within 8 years, Gerard Mayo. After a disastrous year where players were undisciplined, and it resulted in us being one of the laughing stocks in the league, where people are laughing at us, all our penalties. We had one of the worst offensive lines in football, but they parted ways after one of the worst victories in Boston sports history. I never thought I'd say that sentence coming out of my crazy mouth of mine. Week 18 versus the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills didn't even play. After one snap, they tanked the game on purpose, because going in, we had the number 1 pick coming in. And if we had won the game, we could have moved as down as 5 or 6. But unfortunately, we're now 4th in the draft order. And right after the worst victory in Patriots history, Gerard Mayo got the axe, and in comes Mike Vrabel. Not only is he a former Tennessee Titan coach, leading Derrick Henry in the game to an AFC Championship appearance, and I can't forget his first ever playoff victory over us. One of the most painful experiences I've ever seen in person, when TB12 threw his final pass as a pick 6 in the wild card round, and that ended the Patriots dynasty and gave us the funk that we're in right now, and made Boston fans miserable ever since then. We also got him taking over as the head coaching duties, replacing first-year head coach Gerard Mayo. I am excited to see what he brings to the team. If you're an Ohio State and a Patriots fan, you're even extra excited, because obviously Ohio State football, his alma mater, defeated Notre Dame in the college football final, which I thought was amazing. I never thought I'd live to see the day where the SEC teams don't dominate, kind of like what we did back in the past and what the Chiefs were going to do this year, until the Eagles are the 3-peat killers. They also sandwiched in between our Super Bowls, obviously destroying our chances of a 3-peat before we even knew what that term meant since the Jordan days. I am going to address the needs the Patriots have for free agency. Oh my God, it's too much. It's too much for the average fan to take. We need, obviously, our wide receivers. We need our top receivers are Pop Douglas and Kayshon Boutte. We also have Kendrick Bourne, but he could get traded, and he was injured. Not only do we have Mike Vrabel back coaching in the helm, we got not only over $128 million cap space, which is the most out of any team in the National Football League, but we also got We also got Josh McDaniels, not only is he former Broncos and Raiders head coach, which didn't last long. He is a terrific offensive coordinator. Even as TB12, he got that offense flourishing to new heights with some gigantic deep play and screen playing calling. We also have him working with Mac Jones in his rookie year before he left for the Raiders. He made Mac Jones into what was going to be a bright future, but he collapsed that ever since then. And we have Drake May as our quarterback. You can say the two best or maybe only players for the New England Patriots right now are Drake May and star cornerback Christian Gonzalez. His first 4 games before getting injured, he covered the likes of many star receivers, including CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, and a lot more. He's going to be even better if I addressed who we could possibly get for the draft. First thing I'll start off with, we need some linebackers for defense. Ever since we traded Matthew Judon, who was thought to be the post-TB12 face of our team, but that did not work out as he got traded to Atlanta Falcons for like a 3rd-round pick. We also could use wide receivers, which is very obviously, not only is the NFL a QB-driven league with the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson, but we're a big receiver leader. If you look at your, as silly as it sounds, your past fantasy football leagues with your friends, you can even look at the past how before 3 years ago, 10 out of the 12 top players are running backs. Now they're mostly receivers like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We could get some of these star receivers to come. We're only going to probably get one. One notable name is T. Higgins of the Cincinnati Bengals. When Jamar Chase is in the game, he had a hell of a season this year. When Higgins was healthy, he got multiple touchdowns in a game. He's the deep threat we could be looking for and the most rumored to come, especially if they're going to pay Jamar Chase all that money in Cincinnati. We're also going to get ourselves some potential targets like Cooper Kupp, because Puka Nacua is taking over dramatically in LA. Some of our LA people probably know this as well. We also got potentially AJ Brown wanting to come here, even though he is a Super Bowl champion. He always wanted to play for the Patriots, but we got N'Keal Harry instead. How did that work out? Not good. And we have our draft coming up. We have the number 4 pick. Obviously, the top 2 QBs are going to be Cam Ward of Miami and Shador Sanders, son of Coach Prime Deion Sanders in Colorado, with another potential guy that would fit nicely on the Patriots. Not sure who I want out of all those potential picks yet. We will find out later when I review all the drafts in a future episode. I want someone like Travis Hunter. He could be like what Shohei Ohtani is to the LA Dodgers, or what Babe Ruth was, or even what Troy Brown was in our second Super Bowl when we played wide receiver and cornerback. That would fit in nicely. Even if he's more of a corner, he could be the second cornerback. Imagine that killer combo of Gonzalez and Travis Hunter. We also got linebacker from Penn State, Abdul Carter. We have Abdul Carter, who did get injured during the playoff against Boise State. He would make a nice play addition for us as he pressured a bunch of Big Ten teams. That's a really big division in college football. A lot of good quarterbacks that aren't seniors yet. He pass rushed them like crazy. That would be nasty for us if we get an offensive lineman. We got Joe Alt of Texas and Will Campbell as our linemen that could potentially fit in nicely with the Patriots because he needs a big lineman to defend Drake May and the running backs. And a dark horse candidate in this whole draft for us could be Boise State running back Austin Genie or whatever his name is. Like, he did so good. He has Barry Sanders like vibes. And look at how well a good offensive line and Saquon Barkley going from the Giants to the Eagles worked out for them, as they not only were the kryptonite for Patrick Mahomes in their three-peat, but they won a Super Bowl being able to protect their quarterback, even though they didn't have the greatest passing game. But you don't need that. You need to be ground and pound, and I think that's what Mike Vrabel's putting on to the Patriots, which will be awesome. I think we are going to have a good draft coming up. We'll talk about that more in future episodes, and I'd like to give some shout outs over here. Yes, Taryn, ironically enough, Brady's last pass was against Mike Vrabel. I mentioned that in the beginning of the show. And Ralph, you know this all too well. I was even at attendance during the AFC title game against the Steelers with Antonio Brown before he went crazy, Le'Veon Bell. I definitely agree with that 100%. And rub it in, Taryn, rub it in. Of course, we chose Polka Baker over Lad McConkey, but the development wasn't good anyway, so who knows how it would have lasted for the New England Patriots. But we are going to move on to the other sibling at one Patriot place, the New England Revolution. They opened this season this past Saturday against the Nashville Soccer Club. In their second year coach, Caleb Porter, has added 13 more players. There's a lot of young players. And shout out to Byron Bay of the Revolution, star defender, who had 150 career starts. And we had a clean sheet come into this game this week. A scoreless game against the Nashville Soccer Club. But our next two games is against two teams that the Revolution have often struggled with last year, losing 4 out of 5 combined. The Columbus Crew, which is our home opener to open our 30th career year since the Taylor Twellman days at Gillette Stadium, which he played at Foxborough, obviously. But we also got the Philadelphia Union, too. Soccer is on the rise ever since they're coming off a 9-win season, but there's a lot of veterans. These teams are hungry. Especially the best thing that happened to this team was World Cup winner and Argentina legend Lionel Messi of Miami Football Club came into Gillette Stadium on their finale and scored a hat trick within 11 seconds. He's above the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and David Beckham on one of the worldwide soccer players. They're on the likes of the level of Brady, LeBron, Michael Jordan, etc. That was a pretty good thing to happen to the New England Revolution, because it kind of woke this team up, I feel like, because they're playing tougher, they're playing better defensively, and people are really starting to pay attention to the Revolution. But anyways, we will get into more in future episodes, as we're going to shift off to sunny Florida. We're going to shift off to sunny Florida, where one of the biggest flashes of free agency finally is the Boston Red Sox. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, everybody. The Boston Red Sox have made huge comings They made huge comings in free agency. Technical difficulties here. I apologize, folks. They made huge splashes in the free agency. Here we go, folks. As we're about to find out what kind of team John Henry and Alex Cora and company have in sunny Florida. Long gone are the days of David Ortiz and Pedro Martinez and even Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts going to L.A. to make them the current baseball dynasty. We also have a lot of acquisitions, including a trade with the Chicago White Sox for some of our top prospects. Garrett Crochet, welcome to Boston. He's a former AL Comeback Player of the Year. We also got the World Series last out winner, Walker Buehler, reliever from the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is going to be amazing. I'll admit I am sad to see Tyler O'Neill go, as he was a power number 3 hitter for the Red Sox in his first year last year. I am really disappointed to see that, because he was a top 3 hitter with Tristan Cassis, who was injured most of the year, and Rafael Devers. That was a great loss for the Red Sox. I wish them well with the Orioles as they lost a big hitter in Anthony Statander too. Another big problem for the Red Sox is we lost not only Nick Pivetta as one of our starting pitchers, which we kind of needed to make some shift in the pitching as it was one of our Achilles heel last year. We went even 81-81 to start as of last year's season, our best we've done since 2021. We're hoping to make the playoffs for the first time in 4 years. Ironically, I'm going to talk about this biggest acquisition. The last time we played in the playoffs, we lost the ALCS to Josh Altuve and our new Red Sox third baseman, Alex Bregman, but he's not going to play for third baseman. As you heard some of the controversy, if you've been paying attention to sports radio all week, as he is going to be for going to most likely second base or shortstop with Rafaela possibly moving, as Devers really doesn't want to give up third base to go to DH. But that's, as you know, is a bad rumor because he came out a couple days ago and spoke against those rumors that people were not happy with him, that he didn't want to go anywhere but third base. I guess he will make changes. I will have predictions for an opening day lineup in the future, but we got a lot of good young players if they can stay healthy. Catcher Connor Juan has been pretty good last year. It's easy when you got one of our best catchers in history besides Carlton Fisk, Jason Varitek, as one of our assistant coaches. But we also got to get over the loss of our closer, Kelly Jansen he went to the LA Angels. That's a good gift because he was a pretty good closer for us when we had the opportunities to close games, but we often struggled against our division rivals, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays and the Baltimore Orioles with Aldi Rutschman destroyed us last year as they have one of a great farm system, same as the Red Sox. That's why we gave some top prospects to Chicago for this, as we will have to have open competition for the closing position. Maybe Walker Buehler will be a good addition. Maybe Josh Winikowski, if he's not on the starting lineup, will be there. I like our starting pitchers' potential. Obviously, Crotchet. We also got Brian Bello, who started a few years ago, started a few games. He was amazing. I know he lost some games, but we need an ace to get us. And Tanner Hoke, who was a former closer, but I don't think he's going to go back to closing. He was really good for the Red Sox last year as he won a bunch of games for us. There were times where we didn't get good reliever pitching, and that's why we had the addition of Patrick Sandoval from the Angels as well. You lose one, you gain one. You know what they say, right? Which is going to be awesome for us. If Tristan Cassis, he missed most of the season because he wasn't healthy, but we're going to have to wait a little while for Patrick Sandoval because he's going to be on the 60-day injured reserve as he's coming back from a Tommy John surgery. Let's pray that he is going to work out for us, folks. Let's pray about that because we really need it, because look at Steven Strasburg of the Nationals. He kind of wasn't the same after that surgery. You're out for a long period of time. I am excited. Obviously, the top two teams is the New York Yankees. Oh, I'm sorry. I botched the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole in the game as they made the World Series against the Dodgers. Yes, to all the LA people in IE Sports Radio, I was happy with the Dodgers' victory with Ohtani and Mookie Betts, I love, and all of them because they deserve it. And I do not want to see the Yankees. I'm sorry, I'm biased. I respect the hell out of them, especially Derek Jeter in the past. He was always a great hitter and multiple Gold Glove winner too. I am excited to see what this team's going to bring. I can't wait to see Devers possibly become an MVP candidate, and maybe Cassis will get some good hits to help with that, and Connor Wong would be a good one. And don't forget our all-star MVP, Jarren Duran. He is a great leadoff man. I can't wait to see what he does with a good team and a good outfield. I cannot wait to see what the Sox team's like. I'm going to keep an eye on spring training, and we are going to take a quick commercial break after this, folks. I'd like to thank you for staying with me for my inaugural episode, and we will get back after this commercial.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, IE Sports Radio family and other sports families. My name is Alden Kay, and I want to welcome you to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. If you're a fan of the Valley and the Grand Canyon State like me, then I've got the show for you. Tune in every week, where I will update you and give you the latest news for the Arizona Cardinals, Phoenix Suns, Arizona Diamondbacks, ASU Sun Devils, U of A Wildcats, GCU Antelope, and of course, the NAU Lumberjacks. Again, if you're a Valley sports fan and like all that is desert sports like me, tune in every week here on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll see you then.
All right, folks, thank you for tuning in to that commercial break. We have a bunch of great shows on IE Sports Radio, and I want to give a shout out and thank Larry, our president and CEO of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports, for giving me this opportunity. And I would like to thank everyone in the comments section. And I'm happy, you were happy from Terran that the Dodgers won the World Series. Of course, I respect them. They basically became Fenway West. Originally, they had Xander Bogaerts. He did end up going to the Padres. But even though the Red Sox didn't gain Juan Soto, we made out pretty well as he joins the other New York team with Polar Bear, Pete Alonso, and Francisco Lindor of the Mets. They're going to give the Dodgers a run for their money. And I'd like to say the Red Sox will be able to compete, Taryn. Maybe they'll be playing the Dodgers, but who knows? Anyways, we're going to shift gears to one of our all-star breaks that was tremendous for the game of hockey, which was, we're going to talk the Bruins, obviously, but mainly the Four Nations face-off. What an incredible idea from Gary Bettman. I know people in Canada hate this guy, but what an incredible idea to replace the All-Star game, at least this year, to get ready for the 2026 Winter Olympics. We had 4 Boston Bruins representing the 4 nations. There are 4 teams this year, obviously. Sweden, Finland, obviously Canada, and the US of A. Our participants was Elias Lindholm for Sweden. He worked out better for Sweden, I'll be honest, than he has worked out for the Bruins. He was hurt last year with Vancouver, but he came here instead. You also have one of our faces of our franchise for many years, one of our 2011 Cup winners that remains, that played with guys like Tuukka Rask, Patrice Bergeron, Zdeno Chara. Forward, Brad Marchand, one of our beloved legends in Boston that's active. Obviously not as high as like Tom Brady or David Ortiz, but he's pretty up there currently. He did do okay for Team Canada, but our USA participants for our team, unfortunately, were not even there. Jeremy Swayman has gotten way too much money, held out, and he didn't even play in our arena in USA versus Sweden, which I was there. It was incredible. The people were going crazy. And Charlie McAvoy, unfortunately, it's going to lead into one of my next topics in a few minutes, as we have defensive injury concerns. He got injured through one of our games against Finland, I believe, before the first USA versus Canada game. But let's talk about that, shall we? Oh my God, after all the stuff that was going on around the world, USA versus Canada Saturday night, game 2 before the finals, that was incredible. 3 fights in 9 seconds. That is unheard of. Maybe back in the old 70s where people didn't have helmets and they even fought in stands. Even look at the old Big Bad Bruins footage. It was amazing. I know we hate him because he killed us in our playoff hopes and dreams, including our record 2023 point getter in any team in an NHL season. Matt Tkachuk, he's an amazing forward of the Florida, and his brother Brady Tkachuk, who we could possibly get in the future with the Bruins. Admit you love to root against them, kind of like how I felt about Derek Jeter and how some people feel about the Dodgers because they've been getting all these great talented players. But we would love to have them in Boston. But that was incredible. I can't get over how big it was. The first game, USA against Canada, drew over 4 million viewers on Saturday night on ABC. That's unheard of for even a semifinal hockey game. Some NBA games don't even get that. Obviously, the NFL is a whole juggernaut, and MLB, it depends on the year. But the mind-blowing was the overtime loss to Canada from Team USA, on which Connor McDavid, you do not leave the best player, the current face of the NHL, wide open to get that overtime shot. But Sidney Crosby also was on that team. Sid the Kid Crosby, he's been an amazing player. He was once the face of the franchise with Alex Ovechkin, who is, I think, 12 goals away from tying or breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. That's incredible. But I remember when he scored in the 2010 gold medal game in the shootout against Ryan Miller, who I cannot believe didn't advance the Sabres past the Eastern Conference Championship game. But it was incredible for NHL. I am really sad I didn't get to see McAvoy play in person. We saw former Boston native and current Knights player Jack Eichel score one of the first goals against Sweden, even though he lost 2-1. But Mike Sullivan, who is, ironically enough, Charlie McAvoy's father-in-law, had a baby with his daughter, got hurt and didn't even get to see him play. He was a former interim Bruins coach long time ago, kind of similar to what Joe Sacco's going through right now for the Bruins after they fired Jim Montgomery after an 8-9 start, it didn't take him long to get off the unemployment line as he went to the St. Louis Blues, and they're doing somewhat better for the Bruins, but that was incredible. Unfortunately, Jordan Binnington, of the goalie of the St. Louis Blues, speaking of Montgomery, he is a clutch player at the TD Garden. I know that all too well. In the 2019 Stanley Cup Finals, he only gave up 1 goal in that Game 7 where we didn't show up to play. It was the most crushing blowout loss I've seen in a long, long time. It is unbelievable what's going on right now with the Bruins. And there's our upcoming games are going to be tomorrow night against the New York Islanders at home. And then the weekend, they have a matinee nationally televised game against Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And we also got a matchup with the Minnesota Wild, who we may want to get revenge on because their medical staff is the worst backstage news that leaked is that he has a tough time getting players to heal from injuries, and he's causing a lot of medical concerns. It even happened to, I think, one of the Tkachuks, two of Team USA, and we want to get the revenge on them so badly. Sorry for people that are in Minnesota, even though Kuparov of the Wild is a fantastic player. Kind of need to get our revenge. But before we think ahead, unfortunately, I got to dig back in the past over Saturday's game. An overtime loss to the Anaheim Ducks. You know what they say, ducks fly together. And unfortunately, it was one of those heartbreaking losses in overtime, as the Bruins really need to get our points because we're tied with the Ottawa Senators, and they struggled too and fired their coach. A shocking bad start to the New York Rangers, as we got injury concerns from not only Charlie McAvoy, but Hampus Lindholm. He led all defensemen and stats 2 years ago, almost won an award for our record-breaking season. That's been a real bummer for us because we have a hard time protecting our own net. Yeah, Jeremy Swayman got paid a crap load of money to do nothing and lay goose eggs, but he's given up way too much goals. Last night's game against arch rival Toronto Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews didn't have to show up and score because he never shows up at that building. And Team USA, he's 0 for 7 in his past big games with no goals. You don't have to worry about it here, as you got John Tavares and Mitch Marner in overtime last night scored the game-winning goal, and Pastrnak blew a breakaway, and it gave the Bruins, it was a heartbreak loss. Yes, it's regular season, and yes, they had back-to-back overtime losses, but if they're crawling with a bunch of teams to get to the final 2 wildcard spots, you really need to show up and perform better. I'm sorry to say. You really do, because Toronto's going to most likely win that division, or Florida. And that's another big issue. If we were to get the wild card spot and we have to go to Toronto, we won't have the higher seed this time around compared to the past 4 times. We will be in Toronto for a potential Game 7 if we're even good enough to get there. But I know a few players who've been MVP for us. Obviously, David Pastrnak. Congratulations. His 15-point streak. It is unbelievable what he's done. And Brad Marchand has scored a goal last night, even though he missed an easy breakaway last night in the second period. But the best Bruins player all season with low expectations, we got him from the Seattle Kraken. Forward Morgan Geekie has been unbelievable for the Bruins. He has helped the team get so many goals. He scored the past 2 games. He's been a quietly good forward. He's moved from the third to first line this year, as guys like Charlie Coyle has struggled all season long. But we get a chance to rebound because the Islanders and the Penguins are in the bottom of the Atlantic Division, and the Islanders, Sorokin, a former Vezina candidate, has had the same amount of losses as Jeremy Swayman, as 18 this year, and the Islanders have been on a struggle too. And this Saturday, the Pittsburgh Penguins are we have one of the worst penalty minutes, which has attributed to us getting our defense no help. But Brandon Carlo of us have not been doing very good. The physical identity has been missing for the past few years because Don Sweeney and Cam Neely cannot draft a good team to save our lives. It's kind of like similar problems with the Patriots, as we've been so good for so long. Pastrnak and Marchand, maybe they trade Marchand, maybe not. But next week we'll have a big topic on our trade deadline and the cap space, if they're going to be buyers to compete for a spot, a seller, and throw the white flag for our season. We got the Pittsburgh Penguins have Sidney Crosby, still in almost 20 years of playing hockey, still leads the team in points, goals, and assists, kind of like what Pastrnak has done for us. But our defense really has to improve. And the Pittsburgh Penguins have been one of the worst defensive teams in all of hockey, but not as much as us. We have the most penalty minutes out of all 30 NHL teams currently, which is kind of horrible to see where we're at right now. It really is. I am so disappointed in this Bruins team, and we're going to have to get a victory 2 out of our 3 next games, including the Minnesota Wild, to get revenge for Team USA's medical team, with Matt Boldy leading the team in assists, and Kapro Kusarov, or whatever how you pronounce his name, leads the team in goals and for that team. They have great offensive players, as they're currently third in the Central Division, and they currently have a playoff spot locked up, not behind the Winnipeg Jets, who are currently leading in the division right now. But I would like to thank you so much, Larry. You're the best. Thank you all for commenting on everything so far. I really appreciate that. It's been a great show. I'm having a blast so far, getting the beginner jitters out of the way. And don't worry, we are going to head to our main event scene of the night. We definitely are. And it is going to be talking about our reigning, defending champions of the whole NBA, Boston Celtics, the 19-time world champions, as Jason Tatum and the team have been on a tear even before the All-Star break, where our only real loss has been against themselves, and the revenge for the NBA Finals with Dallas Mavericks, which had a blockbuster trade to send Luka Doncic, who they gave up on. Maybe it's because Jaylen Brown exposed them in the NBA Finals, only beating the Mavs in 5 games. But Doncic was gassed out like you never believed in your life. It was unbelievable to see what he did and how they've been falling apart all year. And they got Boston's favorite own Kyrie Irving, who is beloved in every team he goes to. Ask Cleveland fans and ask us. We all love him. But I speak fluent sarcasm, so you know I'm full of crap. But anyways, we are dominating over all of our Atlantic rivals. We face the Philadelphia 76ers, who you could grab a pencil on you, or here's my finger right here. And after we beat them 121-104, when he was trying to get a rebound, a pencil or a finger, that's the whole body of Joe Embiid, as ever since he won an MVP award, has been letting Sixers expectations down. And he is hurt again day to day. It's happened so many times for them. But I think the Celtics are in their heads, is that it's hard to say if they're rivals with these two teams. And we also defeated the New York Knicks this past Sunday against Karl Anthony Towns, their acquisition from Minnesota, even though they have Anthony Edwards. He did get a double-double against the Celtics. But Jason Tatum has gotten a triple-double in his first game against the Sixers. And he was 1 assist away Sunday from getting a second consecutive triple-double. You also had Peyton Pritchard getting 20 points off the bench in one of his games against the Sixers. You had Jaylen Brown continuing to support the team. It's underrated how underappreciated these two guys are, and they just won an NBA title. Joe Mazzulla has been a great old-school coach for us. He is wonderful. He evaluates all team players. We don't have many weaknesses, which is scary for a lot of the NBA. And they won against the Raptors last night using their headband, as they call themselves the Headband Boys, with Derek White, who had a double-double against the Knicks. He also showed up last night to help Jason Tatum in the game. The Celtics are 6-0 when they have, not only when they wear headbands, when one of the players is out. Jrue Holiday got a nice deserved rest, even though he was battling a non-COVID illness last night. Luke Cornett was also hurt. He's been an underrated bench player. You also got a Porzingis, who's been doing well this season, despite coming back from an on and off injury that missed most of the postseason last year, and he came back this year in the mid-season in December, going off an injury. He's been a great acquisition. I know a lot of people miss Marcus Smart, but there was probably a reason, and we saw that he's been bouncing team to team now. He was on the Grizzlies, but it wasn't working out for him. But this domination has been amazing against Tyrone Massey, against the Sixers. Even though OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson is one of the faces of the New York Knicks. We played them pretty good, even though they almost came back in the second half. We still beat them by 11 points. We also beat the Raptors last night, 110-101. It was amazing how hot they've been keeping before and after the All-Star break. Too, our upcoming schedule is going to be this Friday on ESPN against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They got a lot of good players to the face of their players. They got an amazing team of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and they're a well-balanced team. They're on pace for 60 wins. We beat them twice. They beat us once. It's going to be a big game to determine home field advantage and the number one seed in the NBA. Because there's Evan Mobley. There's not one big superstar that is on that Cleveland Cavaliers. They dominate in teamwork, which is an improvement from the LeBron James 2 different era days and Kyrie Irving. They work so hard as a team. We beat them in the semifinals last year, but they may want a little bit of revenge of us on our home court, even though we're leading the series. It's going to determine who is in first place in the NBA Eastern Conference, because you got the Knicks still compete for a spot. The Sixers having a very disappointing season. You also can't go past what the Celtics have been able to do and keep healthy. We also have a big potential NBA Finals preview, the one we all thought we were going to get last year. The 2023 champion and one of the best NBA players in the game right now, Nikola Jokic. He leads everything. The man, double-doubles can be a snap in a finger to this man. So we got to be careful. He leads his team in points, rebounds, assists, and he's also second in field goal percentage shooting, which is amazing. The Cavs and the Nuggets have been, ironically, the top offensive teams in all the NBA, looking up the statistics and averaging points per game. And Celtics are a well-balanced team. We have a great defense with Derek White to help out the dynamic duo of Tatum and Brown. We also got a big competition. Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. You can't forget those two. If you let them, sometimes they have big games, sometimes they don't. If you can shut down Jamal Murray to under 20 points a game this Sunday, the Celtics could win. I honestly think, though, they're going to get one of their losses tonight against the Pistons, who are unbelievably on a 7-game win streak right now, with Jalen Durant leading that team in rebounds and Cunningham leading them in points. They had, a historic almost 30-game losing streak last year. You got to be proud if you're a Piston fan. They're playing them tonight on the road. But I'm looking forward to these 2 games because that's a tough stretch of game for the South. And we're going to have a big preview for all the LA flagship city of IE Sports Radio watching. We got NBA prime time next week. LeBron James and Luka Doncic of the Lakers taking on the Celtics. I cannot wait to talk about that next week. But I do honestly think that we are going to take 1 or 2 of these games. And I think we're going to lose one, probably to the Nuggets, because they're going to want to show that they're still the team to beat, because they might have faced us, because I can't believe they lost to the Timberwolves, which gave the Mavs an easy victory, especially since Karl Anthony Towns wanted out of Minnesota to the Western Conference Finals. We might have gotten a real competitive. Maybe this is the preview we could have had last year. A great big man versus our dynamic duo of Tatum and Brown. And I am going to debut our player of the week after one last commercial. I cannot wait to have you guys find out who wins it. Take a guess up in the comments as we do one final commercial before I announce our play of the week and give you a preview of future shows.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
All right, folks, we covered all we could cover today. It's the best I can. I've been watching a lot of sports to get ready for this moment. I am so excited to be part of the IE Sports Radio family, your direct feed for all sports. I hope you enjoyed some of my stuff I have so far, but it's not over yet. Pretty close, but it's not over. Still park your cars and still turn up the sound as you're going to see the end of the Beantown Sports Pound with my player of the week. And I'll give you a hint, whatever you see on my banner, that team is going to be recipient of our first ever Beantown Player of the Week. And obviously, it is green. So my player of the week is going to be, drumroll please, Jason Tatum. First ever Beantown Sports Player of the Week. How ironic, my first ever Player of the Week is the current face of all of Boston sports, Jason Tatum. You could have Jaylen Brown. All those Celtics are playing good, whether it's Porzingis, Derek White's been a great, Peyton Pritchard, possible six-man player of the year off the bench. But he leads all the Celtics in points, rebounds, assists, and a lot of offensive category and defensive categories of the season. He had nearly 2 triple-doubles, and we're such on a tear against our Atlantic Division rivals that I have to do it. My honorable mentions was Morgan Geekie because he's been unbelievable for the Bruins, or David Pasternak for that 15-point streak with 2 goals last night, and Geekie's been averaging almost a goal per game and stepping up when he needs to. But the Bruins are disappointing me, as I explained earlier, as we don't know if they're going to compete for a playoff spot or sell. But anyways, I would like to thank you all for tuning in tonight. Next week, we're going to try and go towards the local colleges of hockey and basketball for New England, see where they're at, because we got March Madness coming up for the National USA, and you got the Hockey East tournament with all New England colleges. We'll still continue. We'll talk about the Celtics big game and preview the big game next week, and we'll take a better look at the Red Sox spring training as they'll have more games under their belt, and we'll cover the Revolution in future weeks. And I am BMAdawg. I would like to thank you all for tonight. I would like to thank everybody. IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And thank you very much for watching the Beantown Sports Pound. Woo! BMAdawg signing off.